My name is Yasmin Mrai. I'm a Syrian journalist and a women's rights defender, and I'm leading Women for Common Spaces initiative here in Berlin. We do a memory documentation of Syrian women, and we also do leadership training for young women. It impacted us on many levels, mainly the displacement was something very hard for many women and girls. The involvement of men in war, even if they want or not. The bad economic situation, the bad health services in Syria, and also the legal situation for many women. And recently, not recently actually, but during the last decade, let's say, many of the women are suffering of the fact that many of their beloved ones are missing, with no possibility to get any information about them. So this is also one of the biggest issues that many women and girls are dealing with in Syria. Actually, I worked with different groups of women. I started with refugee women who arrived recently to Berlin in 2016, and then I did work with women who arrived after like 6 or 7 years, and then I did work with women who are still living in Syria. In general, if I talk about women in Germany, the main concern was how to be fully integrated. What does it mean to adopt a different culture? What does it mean to start a life from a zero, social connections from a zero, belonging, and also from the point that they come with a full professional experience, and they need to start from not scratch, something before that to learn the language and go. So integration, if I could say that, and identity questions, the social value of individuals. When it comes to Syria, it's different, like women who live inside Syria, because the main thing is how to prove that each of them has a different aspect of the narrative of what happened in Syria. So when I worked with women from Al-Hasaka, they have a completely different narrative from comparing to women living in Sueda or the women living in Homs. So to prove the story from their perspective is like one of the biggest concerns. And also now the question of justice and transitional justice, it's something that most of the women are concerned about at the moment. So those who I consider as very hopeful women were in the cities that were badly damaged by the regime, and they feel now that the new regime is coming to liberate them and give them the space, while other people, like people from other cities or like people from other political beliefs, they have lots of fears. So it's never the same. Yeah, we can't say that all the Syrian women are hopeful at the moment. I believe the last 14 years turned Syria into sub-Syrias. So what we need is to build a real peace, civil peace in Syria. And I also believe that civil peace could never be achieved without real transitional justice process, a clear one, a transparent one. I met a lot of people in Syria during 2 visits who clearly said that if the state is not gonna bring us back our rights in terms of the people who we lost, we're gonna take our right in our hands, and this is extremely dangerous. So I really hope that the fact that Assad regime is not in Syria anymore will really turn into an opportunity for Syrian people to live together and accept that we are not the same, but also not to throw the pain of the people and like to give our backs to those who lost a lot during the last 14 years. I also hope that the investments that will take place in Syria will also consider the situation of people, and not to turn into only like a profit process, also giving the back to the need of the people and also the financial situation of the people in Syria at the moment. I hope that the new regime will bring a real democracy to Syria. We have each single person in Syria had paid a part of the bill to live in a democratic Syria, in a free Syria. So I really hope that this dream will turn into reality and we don't lose the wish to go and live and build a democratic country, which is Syria. Thank you.
Mein Name ist Jamshid. Ich bin in Syrien zur Welt gekommen, seit 2013 in Deutschland. Ich bin so tätig, habe Soziologie studiert und im sozialen Bereich tätig. Ja, ich fotografiere auch und ja, filme auch.
Eine große Frage.
Ja, das ist eine große Frage.
Was ist deine erste spontane Reaktion?
Ja, erster Gedanke, dieses Datum erstmal, das bleibt fest bei mir, dieses 24. Dezember 24, das ist so ein festes Datum. Und ich kann das so, wie ich das persönlich diesen Tag erlebt habe, ich kann das nicht beschreiben wirklich, aber das ist für mich so, das ist das der Albtraum für alle Surerinnen. Ja, nicht nur in Deutschland, sondern ja, überall. Und das ist so ein, auch ein Tag der Hoffnung auch für alle Surerinnen auch. Und ja, neu anfangen, neu aufbauen, das ist alles verbunden mit diesem Tag. Ja, ist ein Albtraum weg. So kann man das beschreiben. Ja, was die Surerinnen so erlebt haben seit 2011 und davor auch, was unter einem diktatorischen System, wenn man so aufgewachsen ist, zum Beispiel wie ich, und dann, wenn man dieses Moment erlebt, sozusagen intensiv, kann man das wirklich nicht beschreiben. So an dem Tag auch, oder diese Gefühle, die hochkamen, kann ich auch jetzt mit diesen Worten auch nicht beschreiben. Aber das meinte ich damit. Das war so ein Albtraum für viele und das stoßt der Albtraum für mich auch. Und natürlich auch die Hoffnung so auch. Das ist der Tag der Hoffnung auch, der Tag der Neues, der Tag der Zukunft auch. Ist alles mit dem verbunden. Deutsch-syrische Beziehung. Das ist für mich, wenn wir so deutsch-syrisch, das ist für mich die Sprache, dann wir reden über die Sprache für mich mehr. Und für mich die deutsche Sprache hat sozusagen auch so einen Raum für sich auch geschafft im Nahen Osten oder in Syrien auch. Und darauf kann man so viel aufbauen. Und das ist für mich wirklich nur so, wenn wir sagen, so fast 1 Million Syrer hier sind. Und das heißt so, die Mehrheit oder 700.000 sprechen fließend Deutsch und dann so ihre Nachwuchs auch. Und das ist für mich so, diese Bedeutung erstmal, die Sprache hat sich so entfaltet und dann darauf kann man so viel aufbauen. Das ist für mich so diese Beziehung, wenn ich nicht politisch, ich wurde nicht so politisch betrachtet, diese Beziehung. Aber historisch auch zum Beispiel in 1920er dann die französische Sprache war präsent, aber durch so koloniale Strukturen. Aber hier so umgekehrt, dieses Willkommenspolitik im deutschen Raum natürlich ist verbunden mit ihrem auch Geschichte ein bisschen. Aber das ist für mich auch, dass jetzt die deutsche Sprache ist mehr präsent dort und kann mehr sozusagen Rolle, mehr Rolle haben auch so im Nahen Osten für mich. Das ist die deutsch-syrische Beziehung für mich, ja. Diese Sprache wird auch in Syrien, in neue Syrien auch einen Platz haben. Ich glaube, einen riesigen Platz wegen dieser Beziehung erstmal. Und das auch genau für auch die deutsche Kultur auch, ich meine, weil das war auch eine historische Wende, diese Willkommenkultur auch. Und das ist alles so damit sozusagen verbunden. Deswegen diese Beziehung, ich glaube, so beiderseitig ist sehr, sehr wichtig und wir werden das erleben auch in der Zukunft, wie das sich entwickelt sozusagen auf diesem Ebene, wenn wir das so betrachten. Das ist ja sehr schwierige Frage, in welche, ich hoffe, in gute Richtung sich entwickelt auf jeden Fall. Was jetzt auch in Deutschland geht, so politisch auch, ist ein bisschen besorgt mich persönlich auf jeden Fall. Und was genau auch in Syrien passiert, so, wie sie sich neu aufbaut, so, wer kommt an die Macht, besorgt mich auch genauso. Das ist auch die Menschen, die ich mit ihm nicht klarkomme. Aber die Hoffnung bleibt, hoffentlich auf gutem Weg entwickelt sich diese Beziehung auf jeden Fall, ja. Der Wunsch, der erste so Gedanke war so, wenn ich das so viele auch fragen im Freundeskreis, was ist der Wunsch? Erstmal so dezentrale politische Strukturen, System, so, das sich entwickelt in Syrien auf jeden Fall. Das ist so der erste Wunsch. Zweiter Wunsch, dass die Kurden auch unter anderem andere, nicht Minderheiten, ethnische Gruppen, religiöse Gruppen auch so sozusagen sich so entfalten ohne Verfolgung, ohne Unterdrückung. Das ist der zweite Wunsch. Und dritter Wunsch, so, dass eine Frau an die Macht kommt, so in Syrien auch. Und nicht von Männern. Es reicht so ein bisschen. Das ist vor Syrien, das ist mein Wunsch.
Warum eine Frau?
Frau, wie gesagt, wir haben schon mit Männern lange probiert, in der Geschichte auch. Und die Männer haben versagt, dieser Krieg süchtig sind. Und das ist so aus diesem Gedanken, sage ich, nee, dann lass uns mit Frauen probieren, so wie sie das regieren. Und dann im Nahen Osten, bei uns, das ist noch nie passiert sozusagen, dass die Frauen so hohe Positionen haben. Und das ist so ein Wunsch. Ich wünsche mir, dass so passiert in Syrien. Erstmal, das ist so dieses, wie gesagt, das politische Lage jetzt gerade in Deutschland ist und gerade in Syrien auch so ein bisschen besorgen mich sozusagen. Das ist so der erste Gedanke, wenn wir sagen Deutschland, Syrien oder weltweit auch jetzt, wenn wir so anschauen, Politik weltweit ist gerade so senkt runter sozusagen. Und aus diesem Grund einfach, dass der Wunsch, dass sie so sich auf guten Weg entwickelt. Was ist dieser guten Weg? Wir werden so lange darüber diskutieren, aber das ist erstmal nochmal, was mir so, gerade die politische Situation in beiden Ländern besorgt mich sozusagen oder macht mich Angst oder das ist und ich hoffe, das hat ein Ende bald so auch für beide Länder oder weltweit auch.
My name is Sara Asfari. I work in legal investigations, specifically for the Syrian context, and I also work closely with the families of victims of enforced disappearance, also in the Syrian context. In the beginning, and specifically during the night itself when the regime fell, I can only imagine that there was moments of extreme happiness and hope, and at the same time, extreme concern that not only maybe the person who's disappeared will not be found, but also with all the chaos that was taking place in the country, everything seemed unknown, momentarily unknown. So at the beginning, I would say there was a big happy moment that finally the Assad regime will fall and there will be an actual starting point for the families of victims of enforced disappearance and also victims of other human rights violations and crimes to finally have the moment of justice, not only by the fall of the regime, but also with the coming process of transitional justice. That was the initial part of it. But when days passed after the fall of the regime, we all witnessed how detainees were running out of the detention centers and the security branches. And even though we saw a lot of people in those videos, but actually on empirical ground, most of the disappeared were not found and their fate was not revealed. That actually, for the families of those victims, that made it hard to keep experiencing the happiness of the fall of the regime, because they would either want a grave to visit their loved one or for their loved one, or they actually want to know if they are alive or not. Either way, they want a closure. But apparently, there is an unknown moment that is stuck in a time capsule that the families are still living until now. Efforts by the families of victims and also activists in this area are still continuing their efforts, whether through actions on empirical ground inside Syria and also outside Syria. But when I talk specifically inside Syria, it's sit-ins, even official mails being sent to the new government to ask for justice for this file, and also some initiatives that would bring families closer together, and also not only families who have been working on this file for years now, for the past plus 10 years, but also other families of victims who were still in Syria, and a lot of them were even afraid to say that their loved one is missing because they would be prosecuted. And the initiatives are trying to bring families together, and this includes, for instance, the Tents of Truth, and that includes 4 areas until now: Jaramana, Eastern Ghouta, Yarmouk Camp, and also Salamiyeh. And a lot of other events and initiatives to keep talking about the file of the missing. And also their efforts alongside the IIMP, the International Institution on Missing Persons in Syria, is still ongoing. And it's an institution that was established by the UN General Assembly in June 2023, specifically mainly by the efforts of the families of victims after their years and years of working. And it was a milestone that say that the families of victims, by their own hand, were part of the process itself. And this is the hope, that they will keep being an essential part in the process of transitional justice in Syria, disregarding the time that it might take. And recently, with the establishment of the National Commission for the Missing in Syria, families kept their efforts and kept calling for justice for all victims in Syria who faced numerous human rights violations, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and that justice is a right for everyone. The hope is to have a country, to have Syria with everyone equal under the rule of law, and to have a transitional justice process taking place, including everyone. And to also focus on the point that, again, one of the things that families kept working on so hard is the matter of impunity. Because now we have a new starting point, but at the same time we have numerous challenges. And it's really important to keep focusing on fighting against impunity. And it's a right whether for the families of victims or also for all Syrians to see perpetrators being held accountable under a law that ensures the right of every Syrian and anyone living in the country.
Hi, My name is Jumana Saif. I'm a senior legal advisor at the European Center for Constitutional and Human Rights, and I'm a co-founder of the Syrian Women Political Movement and the Syrian Feminist Lobby. From March 2011 and until December 2024, when the Syrian people took to the street to demand democracy, freedom, dignity, justice against the Assad regime, the Syrian people, they were subjected to various forms of international crimes and violations. These violations including torture, killing, sexual violence, enforced disappearance, forced displacement, indiscriminate attacks like barrel bombs, as well as chemical weapons. Victims of international crimes should be supported, should be provided with medical support, psychosocial support, and legal support for sure, and compensation so that can heal from the wounds and the crimes they were subjected to. Political participation, for me, it's a right and it's a duty. So as a citizen, it's like men, so to participate in shaping our future, Syria future, as well as to convey the demands, the needs of the women, especially survivor from the international crimes. So we we need to practice our rights and also to work and to fulfill our duties as Syrians. So far we have degree number 20 about the establishment of the National Commission for Transitional Justice, and we are waiting for the regulation, the internal regulations, and the team to announce the team of the commission. And I'm hopeful that this commission will work on starting consultations with the victims, so knowing, the priorities and then how to start. I know it's a very challenging and then it's a long-term process, but we need to start. Transitional justice is a must for the recovery of the Syrian people after 14 years of crimes, and we hope soon that the announcement of the team of the Transitional Justice Commission and the internal regulation will be announced soon, and will together, I think, will manage to overcome all these challenges.
I'm Ahmed Al-Mahairi, architect and urban planner based in Frankfurt, a founding member of Together Space, Warshat Makan. To be honest, the question is too complicated. However, for Syrians to live peacefully, I believe that we need justice, inclusivity, and we need a shared sense of belonging. Justice is something is not happening only in courts. Justice is a practice that we used to do in our everyday life. And for Syrians, it's really important to tackle the justice from different aspects, because during the regime era, we had a lot of practices of injustice. And to heal from that, we need to address the justice, whether if it's in for the criminals or for the practices in spatial realm or other practices that we have in our everyday life. Nowadays, there is a lot of discussion about transitional justice. However, part of the justice and the issue of consider transitional justice as a main process, we need always to think about the spatial justice. And what does it mean, spatial justice? I mean, for me as an architect, urban planner, spatial justice means that we need to build cities and public spaces that introduce recovery and healing. We need to use planning and architecture as a tool for reconciliation. Because when we build cities for integration rather than segregation and public spaces that foster dialogue and foster common identity, we are able to reach and achieve a coherent social fabric and social connections between the communities. In that sense, architecture and planning will play a major role in building the future of Syria, building and contribute to the journey of recovery and healing. Planning and architecture contribute to the healing process. As we know that planning is a strategic discipline, and with strategies we can achieve certain goals. And if we, in the future of Syria, plan for a social just built environment that respect every individual, that create spaces for everyone, and design spaces where people can gather and can communicate and connect, this will be a tool where people can interact and can collaborate. And we need that in Syria. We need to build our shared identity. We need to believe in our common grounds. And designing spaces for such an activities where everyone is invited is very important. Therefore, urban planning and architecture will contribute to the future of Syria, will contribute to the journey of healing and reconciliation. And it will be a tool to bring people together and to use the power of people rather than manifest segregation or division. In the current situation, as you know, we have a lot of complexity to deal with the process of reconstruction because first of all, we need to have stability, and till now I don't believe that we are achieving a level of stability that allow us to function and to think about reconstruction. However, from my point of view, I believe that what we really need in terms of planning for reconstruction is a vision. The vision for the future is still missing, and I think we need, as an architect planners, to contribute to creating this vision. And this vision should consider all Syrians, should consider all the trauma that we have, should also tackle the people needs. And as I said before, we need to use planning and architecture to as a tool for recovery and reconciliation. So I believe strategic thinking, vision, long-term plans, knowing that we have urgent issues that need to be tackled, but I believe that we need to do things in a right way in order to facilitate the recovery and the reconciliation that we are aiming for. I mean, the vision is to build a place for everyone, to to have a country where law is, I mean, it's between political and spatial kind of mandates. It's not only spatial, it's not only political, so it's a combination of both. So I believe that it's the vision should consider how, as Syrians, we can live together, how we can create our own identity, how we can agree on common grounds to live together, how we use our diversity as a way to be a strong community rather than a cause for division or conflicts, you know? So it's not easy to answer. The vision should also consider a lot of aspects. We need to also see economically how we can contribute to the future. As you know, that the economical situation now in Syria is super critical. People are suffering a lot economically. And when you have stability economically, then you can start thinking about achieving more and more on different levels. So the vision is hard to be done or to be answered, but I believe that planners, architects should contribute to this. Like, personally, I believe that we should hope for a Syria that belongs to every Syrian, where justice, inclusivity, and shared identity are protected. A future where refugees and displaced people are able to return, and for a built environment that is socially just, that contribute to the healing process, that encourage collaboration, encourage interaction between communities, and a built environment that recover the social fabric that we used to have in Syria. So we have a lot of hopes, and we have a lot of responsibilities to achieve that. So I believe that if we are able to move forward with this transitional period and position ourselves as Syrians and lead the process, we'll achieve what we are planning for.